everyone. Today we will talk about the hottest news that happened in the southern end of Taiwan. Let's see more information on U.S. defense. Before watching, please press the subscribe button to get the latest updates from U.S. defense. The self-ruled island has moved to the heart of deepening discord and rivalry between the two superpowers, with the potential to ignite military conflagration and reshape the regional order. The 25 Chinese fighter jets, bombers and other warplanes flew in menacing formations off the southern end of Taiwan, a show of military might on China's National Day, October 1st. The incursions, dozens upon dozens, continued into the night and the days that followed and surged to the highest numbers ever on Monday, when 56 warplanes tested Taiwan's beleaguered air defenses. Taiwan's jets scrambled to keep up, while the United States warned China that its provocative military activity undermined regional peace and stability. China did not cower. When a Taiwanese combat air traffic controller radioed one Chinese aircraft, the pilot dismissed the challenge with an obscenity involving the officer's mother. As such confrontations intensify, the balance of power around Taiwan is fundamentally shifting, pushing a decades-long impasse over its future into a dangerous new phase. China's military might has, for the first time, made a conquest of Taiwan conceivable, perhaps even tempting. The United States wants to thwart any invasion but has watched its military dominance in Asia steadily erode. Taiwan's own military preparedness has withered, even as its people become increasingly resistant to unification. All three have sought to show resolve in hopes of averting war, only to provoke countermoves that compound distrust and increase the risk of miscalculation. Few believe a war is imminent or foreordained, in part because the economic and diplomatic aftershocks would be staggering for China. Yet even if the recent flights into Taiwan's self-declared air identification zone are intended merely as political pressure, not a prelude to war, China's financial, political and military ascendancy has made preserving the island's security a gravely complex endeavor. Until recently, the United States believed it could hold Chinese territorial ambitions in check, but the military superiority it long held may not be enough. When the Pentagon organized a war game in October 2020, an American blue team struggled against new Chinese weaponry in a simulated battle over Taiwan. China now acts with increasing confidence, in part because many officials, including Mr. Xi, hold the view that American power has faltered. The United States' failures with the COVID-19 pandemic and its political upheavals have reinforced such views. A historic mission. 2 days after the fall of Kabul in August, as the Biden administration scrambled to evacuate thousands stranded by the American withdrawal, China staged military exercises explicitly designed to show off its prowess. Chinese warships fired missiles into the sea south of Taiwan, while amphibious landing vehicles swept ashore a beach in China. It was one of the largest exercises ever to simulate an invasion across the Taiwan Strait. In previous drills, the People's Liberation Army maintained a gauze of deniability about its imagined adversary, but this time it left no doubt. One officer on Chinese television warned the United States and Taiwan not to play with fire on the Taiwan issue and immolate themselves. The question is whether Mr. Xi intends to act. Even if Chinese forces seized control over the island of 24 million, the war would badly shake China's economy and international relations, while exacting a significant human toll. Thomas, a former vice admiral who commanded the United States Navy's 7th Fleet in Japan, recalled a meeting with a Chinese admiral in 2015. The admiral told him that the 1996 confrontation still stung nearly 2 decades later. It's clear to me that they won't allow themselves to be embarrassed again by a Taiwan Strait crisis where the U.S. 7th Fleet shows up and says, "Everybody calm down," Mr. Thomas said. Since then, China's leaders have poured money into the People's Liberation Army. In a decade, military spending grew by 76%, reaching $252 billion in 2020, according to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. The United States spent $778 billion on its military last year. Mr. Xi has also reorganized the military, raising the status of naval and air forces and pushing commanders to master joint warfare. In an exercise last year, the military conducted a drill that simulated sealing off the Taiwan Strait from outside forces. What was unthinkable in 1996 could now be within reach. The exercise was like trapping a turtle in a jar, said a website run by China's Office for Taiwan Affairs. A matter of time. When the United States Air Force held its own war games over Taiwan in autumn last year, The outcome rattled Washington's political and military establishment. In war games since at least 2018, American blue teams have repeatedly lost against a red team representing a hypothetical Chinese force, in part by design, since the exercises are intended to test officers and war planners. In a game simulating a war around 2030, reported earlier by Defense News, the blue team struggled even when given new advanced fighter planes and other weapons still on the Pentagon's drawing board. The classified game culminated with China launching missile strikes against American bases and warships in the region, and then staging an air and amphibious assault on Taiwan, according to a Defense Department official. The officials concluded that Taiwan, backed by the United States, could hold out for maybe 2 or 3 days before its defenses crumbled. The Pentagon's annual assessments of China's military have since 2000 chronicled its evolution from a large but ineffective force into a potential rival. Its latest report said Chinese capabilities have already surpassed the American military in some areas, including shipbuilding, conventional ballistic and cruise missiles, and integrated air defense systems. All three would be essential in any conflict over Taiwan. His bleak prediction has since colored debates in Washington over what to do. Some have argued that explicit security guarantees for Taiwan are needed. Others have called for building up of military forces around China, and helping Taiwan to do the same. American warships sailed through the Taiwan Strait 8 times in the first 8 months of the year. The administration approved a new arms sale in August worth about $750 million. Since at least last year, small teams of American troops, including Marines and Army Special Forces, have conducted training sessions with the Taiwanese military. The administration has also marshaled statements supporting Taiwan and criticizing China from a succession of international summits, including the Group of Seven. Mr. Biden is also trying to lower the temperature, speaking last month with Mr. Xi. On Tuesday he said he and the Chinese leader had agreed to the standing agreements on Taiwan. A day later, the White House announced that he and Mr. Xi would hold a virtual summit by the end of the year. The two leaders know each other well. A decade ago, Mr. Biden, then vice president, went to China to size up Mr. Xi before he became the nation's top leader. My father used to tell me, "Joey, the only thing worse than a war is an unintentional war," Mr. Biden told Mr. Xi, according to Mr. Russell, the former national security aide. Mr. Russell added, "I think it is a prescient warning.